Hey guys, it's Rantify, and today I'm going to give you a NFL 2K15 wish list. The reason I'm doing this is because there has been a lot of talk that 2K could be returning this year. And while there is always a lot of talk that 2K could be returning any year, it seems that this year would be most likely, because this year Madden waited so long to finally get their cover vote started. Plus, they did say that they re-signed their license deal, but they didn't say they re-signed their exclusive license deal. And they always do that every year, which they didn't this year. So I'm going to bring you an NFL 2K15 wish list. Also, make sure to check out my Madden 15 wish list. I have one up. Okay, so we're going to get started with presentation first. So I think that as far as presentation goes, there should be an ESPN channel to carry Monday night games in the game. So for Monday night games, you would have the ESPN ticker down at the bottom. And so here are the features within the ESPN Monday night games that we would have. We should have an 8-minute pregame with highlights of other games, features on players from each team, and game picks. So there should be deep talk about what we believe will happen as far as game picks go. We should get we should see some highlights of other games that have happened. I did not put Come On Man because it would probably get repetitive and there wouldn't really be any new content to put in. So yeah, here's, let me read that again. An 8-minute pregame with highlights of other games that have occurred that we features on players from each team. So that would mean that for each player that we have, we'll have a few minutes of I don't know, I don't remember the guy's name, but there's a guy who works for ESPN who does features every week for Monday Night Football. And so we would get him, let's say it's the Seahawks versus the Broncos. He's obviously the two players he's going to talk about or interview Russell Wilson and Peyton Manning. So we can bring in all the players that we can, the most important players on every single team in the NFL, 32 teams. We'll interview them, like a real interview, and then we'll put that in the game. So we'll say, what do you like to do? What inspired you to play football? Who still inspired you to this day? Stuff like that, and that will be featured in every Monday night matchup. And we could also have several players brought in from each team so that won't get repetitive as far as Monday night goes. And eventually, once you've already seen one, maybe it just won't replay that again. So yeah, that's what we could do. So for an example, if we were to do the Browns, obviously the players you're going to want to interview are going to probably be Johnny Manziel and maybe Joe Hayden. So that will be the two most important players from the Browns. If you want to do the Seahawks, like I said, Russell Wilson, maybe, I don't know, Marshawn Lynch would do it, but Russell Wilson, Richard Sherman. You want to do the Redskins, RG3, Alfred Morris. Okay? Also, we should have a halftime show with highlights and analysis of which struggling team needs to improve. So what I mean by this is, in the halftime show, we will have highlights of what has happened so far in the game, and the commentators are going to talk about, John Gruden is going to talk about what the struggling team, the team that's losing, or the team that's just making the most mistakes, needs to improve. So you can have a team up by 3, but just because they're winning doesn't mean they're doing the best. So if they're struggling a lot, you're going to have John Gruden get into them and talk about what it is they need to improve. Okay? Post-game show will be with a press conference, interviews with players and coaches, and analysis with looks, and then a look at the standings after the result of the game. So we would have press conferences with players and coaches, interviews with players and coaches, and we will have talk of what happened in the game, and then we'll take a look at the standings for each division after one team's lost and another's won, and then we'll finish the game. So, Wolf, that's a fake channel I made up, and let me tell you why I'm doing this. The reason why I'm not going to say, okay, ESPN carries night games, Fox carries the other games, and CBS does these games. I'm not going to do Fox and CBS, and the reason is because I don't think that 2K would actually do that. And I want to get into that. The reason they wouldn't do that is because 2K is partnered with ESPN. So, ESPN, as we all know, is partnered with ABC, and ABC's rivals are Fox and CBS, and that is one of the reasons why when the XFL, that old football league, remember that, premiered with NBC, that's why ESPN didn't show highlights, and ESPN didn't show highlights because ESPN is partnered with ABC, ABC is rivals with NBC. You get it now? Alright, so we will make up fake channels Okay, the only real channel will be ESPN and another channel which I'll mention. So ESPN is going to carry Monday night games. Okay. Next up, here's what I have. Wolf, which is obviously just supposed to be Fox, carries NFC games, and these games carried by Wolf will include pre-game picks, halftime highlights of other games, and breaks in the game to show updates from other games. You know how usually when you're watching a game on Fox or on CBS and they have pauses and they talk about what's going on with the other games. That's what we will have. And we also will have game tickers. And game ticker is that little thing at the bottom where you get to see all of the stats from other players around the league and the highlights from other games around the league. Not highlights, but scores from other games around the league. ABC will carry AFC games. ABC's broadcast presentation will include pre-game picks, halftime highlights of other games, breaks in game to show updates from other games, and a game ticker. So ABC and Wolf are pretty much going to have the same presentation because these are early games and they should still have great presentation, but they don't have to be mind-blowing like a primetime game. NFL Network will carry Thursday night games, and NFL Network's package will include pre-game picks, halftime analysis, and post-game player of the game interview. Usually at NFL Network, they have the player of the game come on the desk and talk with all the guys, and that's what they should have in the game for NFL Network. Finally, WBC, which is obviously supposed to be NBC, will carry Sunday night games. Pre-game highlights of, so here's what their package will include. Pre-game highlights of games of the week, so I'm going to get into this later. We should have games of the week set up, and usually NBC doesn't talk about all of the games that happened, so their pregame should just be highlights of games of the week. They should have pregame picks, halftime highlights with analysis, and a post-game press conference. So that's WBC or NBC's. That's going to be their presentation. So moving on. Other presentation will include a weekly Sports Center wrap-up show, including injury news, including news of other players, like who's been benched, stuff like that. Usually you will have some quarterbacks benched on bad teams. We should get highlights. We should get some a preview of upcoming games. Okay, that will be Sports Center. We should have local radio shows for all of the different teams. Like, I live in Maryland, and my team's the Redskins mainly, and we have 106.7 The Fan for our local sports station. So I don't know if they would be able to do all of this in the first year, but if they can, it would be nice to have a radio show and have excessive amounts of topics so that you won't run out of anything to talk about. And we should also have different commentary crews. I mean, seriously, what is it with Madden having Phil Simms and Jim Nance do all of the commentary? Seriously, do those guys do all... First of all, it's not even possible. What are they supposed to make themselves clones or split themselves in half? How are you going to commentate one game and then be commentating another that's going on at the exact same time? That doesn't make any sense. You should have different commentary crews. So WBC should get their own commentary crews. Wolf should get their own. ABC and ESPN. So here we are. Here's game modes that I think NFL 2K15 should have. They should have a player mode. Okay, so under player mode, here are the features they should have. Tattoos should be allowed when you create your player. You should have tattoos. I don't know why Madden doesn't have tattoos. Also, considering one of the best quarterbacks in the game now has tattoos, Colin Kaepernick. We should be able to start in the final year of college, of our college year as seniors, and prove to the scouts one last time why we deserve to be a high round pick. So let's say that I am Matt Barkley, and I decided to stay 1 year, and now scouts are thinking, that I'm not going to be as good of a player because things could change. Well, I can prove them wrong by playing my final college season. You know how on NCAA football, when they used to let you play your final high school senior year, we should be able to do that in the NFL and improve your draft stock, okay? Because you can see guys coming out of nowhere like Khalil Mack, who are all of a sudden predicted as high-round draft picks, and Blake Bortles. So we should be able to have that in the game. You should also be able to attend the scouting combine, hold your own pro day in case the scouting combine goes wrong, agree or disagree to attend the draft. If you disagree, then you should be able to watch the entire draft on your TV at home. So you can skip rounds like you do on Madden. You can just skip around and go to when your team picks. If you want to skip to when you get picked, that's fine. But if you feel like you want to watch the first round and see if you go, you should be able to do that. Just like you can watch the NBA draft on NFL 2K15 or 2K14. NBA 2K14. Tongue twisted. You should be able to do that on here. So if I am a player and I've decided to reject attending the draft because I believe that I'm not going to get picked in the first round, now I can sit and watch that first round and watch that second round the next day. Wouldn't that be cool? I think it would. We should be able to sign our agent so that he can help us negotiate our own contracts. I seriously don't know why you can't have agents in Madden anymore. They had this on the PS2. You go buy Madden 11 today, you pop it in, you play Superstar mode, and you will be able to sign agents. I mean, wow. We should be able to do that, especially with guys like Johnny Manziel coming in who are going to be making an impact and being on commercials and stuff like that. You should be able to have your own agent. You should be able to attend team off-season camps and answer interviews from the press depending on how polarizing a player you are. So let's say that I did play my final year in college and I am just dominating and I'm surprising people, and my gameplay style from a quarterback has guys, wondering how I'm going to translate to the NFL, sort of like Johnny Manziel. So that's going to obviously attract the media. And if you attract the media, then you're obviously going to have a lot of people talking to you and getting interviews. So during the off-season camps, you should be able to have interviews and have the press talking to you, depending on how polarizing a player you are. But if I'm some guy nobody knows, like Tyler Russell, he's a quarterback from Mississippi State. Yeah, I bet you don't know who the heck that is. That's because he's not really that polarizing a player. I'm not going to get anybody coming after me to interview me. But if I'm Johnny Manziel, heck yeah, I'm going to have interviewers coming after me. And you should finally be able to earn real money and buy cars and houses, but you don't get to drive the cars. I'm pretty sure 2K wouldn't go through that much trouble. But hey, 2K Studios made Mafia 2, correct me if I'm wrong. And Mafia 2 obviously is an immense driving game. So they would probably be able to do this, but I'm pretty sure they wouldn't, and there really wouldn't be any point in driving around. But you should be able to buy your own car and buy your own house, just for the sake of saying you have a house. And your background view, like when you're in the menu, should be of your house or your apartment, like it was on Madden. I shouldn't just see some blue screen. When I'm a player in real life, I'm not just gonna have some blue screen around me. I'm going to be in my house when I'm not somewhere else. So you should be able to have that in 2K. Owner mode. You should be able to build a new stadium from ground up. You should be able to select the location, whether it's in the city, suburbs, stuff like that. Choose the seat types and color of your stadium. Choose turf type. Choose where tunnels go and what banners they have on top of them. Sometimes with the Seahawks, I think they have 12th man. They have the number 12 on it. You should be able to put what you want on top of your tunnel tent thing. You should be able to choose stadium colors depending on what your team colors are. So if I'm the Redskins, I can't choose some green colors. I should be able to choose whether outside the stadium is made of glass or brick. Like Cowboy Stadium is so beautiful. It's made of glass. That is very fancy, very nice. I should be able to choose whether it's glass or brick, like the Lions Ford Field is. I should be able to choose the screen types, the HDTV types, and choose the name of the stadium. Okay. We should also be able to relocate to any state in the country or out of the country in either Canada or London. So we should be able to relocate to any state from let's see, Colorado to Hawaii or Alaska in the U.S., or we can relocate to Canada or London. Choose your team name colors and mascot and build the stadium up the same way you would if you were rebuilding the stadium. You should be able to set prices for everything involving the organization, and you should be able to take yourself into the draft room and make the final decision on what new player is coming into your facility. Finally, commissioner mode. I've always wanted a commissioner mode. I thought it would be really cool You should be able to become the commissioner of the NFL and make all the decisions like where the Super Bowl should be held and what teams should relocate. You should also be able to hand out fines and sign advertising contracts or deals for the NFL. So if I want to sign a deal with Coca-Cola, I should be able to do that, or Pepsi or whatever. I should be able to do that. So we reached the 15-minute mark, and that is my NFL 2K15 wish list. Thanks for watching. Share this, get the word out, because we want 2K15 coming back, and if it comes back, we want them listening to our stuff. Because, hey, listen, if 2K hears all of this cool stuff, they will add it. That's just how cool of a company they are. Let's get the word out. Thanks for watching, and try to subscribe.